topic is the status of children and youth in the state of Tennessee, and of course we're talking to the Executive Director of the Tennessee Commission on Children and Youth, Ms. Linda O'Neal. Ms. O'Neal, let me give you an opportunity over the last few minutes that we have here to sort of inform our audience about some information relative to early childhood education. We've had an opportunity on this show to talk to a number of people about early childhood education, and what we'd like to do is to sort of build up on that kind of information so that we know exactly how very, very important that is as a part of our children's education experience. Let's do it from that perspective.
Sure, I'm always glad to talk about early childhood education. It is probably the single best investment we can make to improve outcomes overall for our children. It is particularly important for children who live in low-income families to have opportunities to have either quality child care or the early childhood education programs. And in Nashville and across Tennessee, we've been adding more four-year-old programs for at-risk children, and we usually define those as children who live in families that are eligible for the free and reduced price lunch programs. That's really the indication of the level at which they need some extra assistance. We know that quality early childhood education makes a substantial difference in improving the likelihood that these children will start school ready to learn, that they will succeed in school, and they will be more successful as adults. There have been a lot of longitudinal studies, long-term studies of children who've been in quality early childhood education, comparing that to children who have not. And there's no question that being able to participate in a quality early childhood education program increases the likelihood that a child will be successful in school, that they will not need special education, that they'll not fail a grade, have to repeat a grade. It increases the chances that they will not drop out of school but will in fact graduate. It also, and when they graduate, then they'll be ready for either to go on to other education, either vocational, technical, or higher education, or they'll be more able to participate in the workforce. The other thing, though, that's really interesting is quality early childhood education can help reduce teen pregnancy, substance abuse, and involvement with the juvenile court system. So it's kind of like an immunization to prevent those kinds of adverse outcomes for children.
Now, how is the state of Tennessee responding to dealing with this aspect of education for young children?
We do have a few pilot programs, but we are still, and Head Start is a wonderful program that serves about 15,000 to 18,000 children, but we still have, are only meeting the needs of about half the children in Tennessee who critically need this quality early childhood education. This is the kind of investment that can help these children succeed not only in school, but it's a long-term investment to improve the quality of the workforce in Tennessee, which is very important for attracting industry. We know that one of the things we need for children and families are jobs, and good paying jobs, so that families can support their children. And if we develop a better educated workforce in Tennessee, we have better prospects of having the kinds of employers that we need.
You know, Ms. O'Neal, let's look at the Kids Count program. One of the things that I think was of some interest is the fact that there are many young children who are living in homes without an official breadwinner in that home. Explain exactly what that means and the impact that that is having upon the state of Tennessee.
One of the areas where we've gone in the wrong direction is in having an increased number of children who are living in homes where neither parent has a full-time year-round job, and that's really been a result of the declining economy in Tennessee in the early beginning around 2000, 2001. And we've seen in terms of the Families First caseloads and the food stamp caseloads in Tennessee, they've also gone up at the same time. It's real important for families to have the resources they need to support their children. One of the things we've noticed, though, in the Kids Count essay this year talks about what it calls disconnected young adults, and these are young adults between 18 and 24 who are particularly vulnerable because they are transitioning out of foster care or the juvenile justice system, or they don't have a high school education, or they're young parents, and all of these things make it more difficult for them to be successful. We have in Tennessee 1 out of 4 young adults between 18 and 24 is not in the workforce or in college. That compares to 1 out of 5 nationally, so we have a higher proportion. We really do have an obligation as a society to try to help these young adults make the connections that they need with mentors, with jobs, with things that can help them successfully transition to young adulthood. We know from studies that the average age at which a young person is truly independent from their family is when they're 26. And so young people who age out of foster care at 18 really need assistance to negotiate those years between that to help them know how to fill out a job application, to interview for a job, really to help them make a connection with someone to get a job, to find housing, to purchase their first car. What they need the most is a connection to a caring adult who will help them make those transitions, to a mentor. There's a real need for more mentors for these young adults as well as for children and teens.
You know, Ms. O'Neal, there was a recent report, I'm reminded, that came out from the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation in reference to the high crime rate between, I think, Memphis and Nashville and et cetera. Do you think that the very fact that you've got so many young people who are in what you call this transitional stage, that is one of that could be part of the reason for this high crime rate, and perhaps if we were able to sort of intervene and provide jobs and et cetera, that we might not have, well, go on, do you see the relationship?
Certainly, I do. I think there's definitely a relationship, and we know in Tennessee every year about 800 young people age out of state custody, and these are the most vulnerable, but other young people who don't have family support, who don't have connections to jobs or education or the workforce, are more likely to wind up being involved. The data in Tennessee and nationally indicates that particularly though for those children transitioning out of foster care and juvenile justice, they are disproportionately going to wind up homeless or in jail unless there is something to help them and someone to help them make those connections.
You know, I'm also reminded, Ms. O'Neal, the last time that you were with us, I think the last thing that we've talked about, and we'd like to do that today, has to do with the health of children, and it was one category that we call health and AIDS, because that was a very serious concern then as now. What is being done in terms of the health of children and this whole issue of dealing with AIDS and other kinds of diseases that have an impact upon children and young people?
Well, certainly teen care is an important part of improving health for children, and we've been doing a better job in the schools to try to provide AIDS prevention education. And actually the AIDS education is one of the things that we think has helped reduce teen pregnancy, as there have been more awareness of the many dangers of too young sexual activity and unprotected sexual activity.
Now, of course, we've got about 2.5 minutes here, Ms. O'Neal. There might be some area that perhaps you would like to give us some additional information on, some things that perhaps you wanted to make sure that you talked about. We want to give you an opportunity to do that now.
Thank you. I want to go back and talk a little bit about these young people who are transitioning out of foster care. In Tennessee, we have a project going on at Vanderbilt through the Child and Family Policy Center that is working with a group of former foster children. And this group also has a community partnership board, and we've got businesses that have gotten involved. U.S. Bank is involved in doing financial education classes for these young people and helping them develop individual savings account, and there's some matching funds for that. So I really want to stress the importance of the community getting involved in helping these young people as well as younger children through serving as mentors, through helping people get jobs. I think that you know, there is the saying, the African saying, that it takes a whole village to raise a child. That's absolutely true. We as a community need to come together to be more supportive of children and families. We need to help parents know how important it is for them to talk to their children, to read to their children. The more that you talk to a child, the more you help increase their vocabulary, help them learn how to speak the language, the sentence structure, all of those things. And one of the new challenges in this area is the increasing immigrant population that we have, and the need for us to assimilate those into our culture too.
The last half minute that we have here, Ms. O'Neal, do you think that the status of children overall has increased since you were here the last time?
I think we're continuously trying to improve services for children, as is every other state. We've made a lot of progress. We have a ways to go. We can always do better.
Very good. And of course, let me thank you, Ms. O'Neal, during the last half minute that we have here, for bringing us that excellent information. as you indicated earlier, that basically this was an update because some of the problems that we face today will probably be faced in 20 years from now. But nevertheless, it's good to see that some people are still in the fight. And of course, let me thank you for coming by and giving us that information. And let me encourage our audience to tune in again next week for another informative edition of Comments. Thank you and good morning.